I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Mount Diablo Unified School District Governing Board for February 2nd, 2022. We are reconvening from closed session, and we will start with our Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we recognize that we are meeting on the ancestral lands of the Bay Miwoks and the Yokoks. And we will now do our roll call. Vice President Nzewi. Here. Trustee Fowler.
Here.
Trustee Mayo.
Here.
Trustee McFerrin.
Here.
Trustee Cowan and
Here.
Trustee Mason is here. Okay, that takes us to review and potential approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I move the board approve the agenda as presented with such changes to be permitted by the chair as necessary.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Trustee Fowler,
Yes.
that passes 5-0 with approval of our trustee Fowler. Next thing we have is a report out of our closed session. 7.1, negotiations. The board may discuss negotiations to provide direction to its representatives regarding represented employees pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The board received information. 7.2, there was no possible discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee, which takes us to public comment. Do we have any public comment cards? Public comment are at 3 minutes per person. They go for 30 minutes. If they exceed 30 minutes, then we can take public comment at the end of the meeting. I just want all of you to know, although I see a lot of familiar faces, so I think you know this, that the board cannot respond, answer questions, or get into conversations. We can simply listen, hear you, and then either refer your comment to a staff member, ask a clarifying question, or possibly put something on a future agenda at the board's will. So having said that, we will start with our public comment. First up, we have Chloe Page.
Board members and Dr. Clark. For years, we teachers and Mount Diablo have been telling you what we need as teachers in order to do our jobs. Because we love teaching our students. It's the best job in the world, to be honest. I have fun every day. For years, we've been telling you what we need. In that time though, we've heard very little response from the district administration. In that time, we've been barely treading water financially, emotionally, and in terms of classroom resources and facilities. I'm a teacher at the Bridge program. We're often forgotten about because we're not some big flashy high school with a football team. We don't serve general ed students, only special ed. And sometimes that's nice, but for the most part, we don't like being forgotten. The state of the facilities at our campus is a joke. We have haphazard furniture that we often have to scavenge from a hallway at the end of campus where desks and chairs and tables are discarded by other programs. We're lucky if all of our furniture makes it through a year without being broken. The Wi-Fi in our office and one of our classrooms is unusable to the point that our office manager is looking to buy a wireless hotspot because the district has not fixed the problem yet. One of the sinks in our classroom or in our cooking room doesn't work, and the electrical wiring in my classroom is unreliable at best. The heater in one of my colleagues' rooms has been leaking water on the floor since before Christmas. We've been telling the district about this for months, and we've had no progress on any of these issues. Further, we teachers are at our wits' end financially. Living here is getting more and more expensive every year. I've been a teacher for 9 years, and yet not only will I likely never be able to afford a home here, I have to have a roommate. I'm 35, living with a roommate, and I've been a teacher for 9 years. That's not where I thought I'd be in my life at this point, to be honest. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to write much more than that, but the point is we need your help in order to do our jobs, because we desperately want to be in our classrooms teaching our students. They're the best part of our day sometimes, but we can't do that if we're homeless, like many of your teachers are, like many of your employees. They literally live in their cars because they can't afford not to. And yet they can't leave the area because that's also too expensive. So we need solutions. Please direct the administration to actually sit down with actual solutions and actually listen to our questions and our problems. The disrespect from the bargaining team for the district has been deafening and disrespectful, and just can't take it anymore.
You. Jen Mucha?
Good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Clark. This is my 21st year teaching at Ayers Elementary. I can't say enough good things about the staff at that school. That is why it's so hard to watch the morale at our school dwindle. Our staff lounge used to involve us talking about an upcoming trip, a dinner out, or something funny our own kid did. Now we discuss what anti-anxiety drug we are on. This has not stopped us from putting a smile on our face and doing the absolute best job that we can do. We have turned to Instagram for quality PD on the science of reading. We go out of our way to learn about dyslexia to help our struggling readers. We haven't received a raise in 4 years, and our jobs have just gotten harder and harder. The things we are being asked to do are not what is best for students. Just last week, I had to give a 33-question SEL survey to my second grade students. That means we all had to log on to our Chromebooks. I then had to project it onto the screen and read each question to the students and all of the answers, because not all second graders can read at that level. Even my 2 highest readers were unsure of the meaning of some of the questions. This took out an hour out of my day. My students then needed actual SEL time after that. So that day, instead of writing our opinion final draft, working on spelling patterns and reading, we took a survey. I hope this helps someone in the district because it did not help my students or myself. I'm not sure how many in the audience remember back to the class collapsing fiasco of late August, but I sure do. I had spent 2 weeks of my summer organizing my classroom, prepping projects for my kindergartners. Then the decision was made to collapse my kindergarten class and fill the other classes to the max. I then got placed in second grade. The teacher that was bumped has over 15 years of experience and is amazing. She's also held a second job for many of her years teaching. But back to my move. I had a weekend. I got paid for 8 hours to move classrooms and set up a new one, but it took much longer than that. My principal did graciously pay me 8 hours of her time so that I could prep after the school day. I did this all for my students so that they still had the best experience. You see, these were the kids that I left on March 13th, 2020 in kindergarten, same ones. The same kids who have never had a normal school year. During this whole time, I never received an email from anyone in the district office to see what I need, what the students need. No offer of PD to help me catch up with the second grade standards. No, I got 8 hours of pay. No respect was paid to the amount of time I have spent learning a new curriculum on the fly and preparing engaging lessons for students who are still learning how to sit in class. Our teachers have done so much for our students, and we should be paid accordingly. We shouldn't have to rely on our partner's job or get second jobs to make ends meet. I know I'm running out of time. On a personal note, I have given up so much time with my own children. The amount of extra work I have put in this year to my grade change has me getting home much later and the parenting load putting more on my husband. I would leave teaching if I could afford to, not because of the kids, but because of the low pay and the lack of respect I felt. Respect your teachers. Pay us what we are worth. Teachers are overwhelmed, but we are organized. Thank you for your time.
Craig Yen.
Board members, superintendent, public, fellow educators. My name is Craig Yen, and I've been in the district. This is my 19th year. I've been both a 4th and 5th grade teacher. I can tell you that 4th and 5th graders are amazing. They also can do work where it is that they write and write and write and write. It takes time to look at all that writing. It also takes time to be able to plan lessons that are engaging to them and that they'll remember. To hear that you want to take away 4th and 5th grade prep time, considering the lack of prep time already within elementary, where all elementary teachers should receive prep time, it's very sad. I did some calculations for those that have been here those 19 years. I am a stat major and an econ major as well. And we spend out of our schedule 75 more minutes with students each and every single week compared to 1st through 3rd grade teachers. I also went back and looked to see over the years, just to refresh my memory of how many times we've been in the same situation. 2011 to 2012, impasse. 2013 to 2016, guess what? 2016 to 2018, also. 2018 to 2021, and 2021 to 2024 as we are negotiating for this contract in a pandemic. Our educators have done so much through this pandemic. It put us back in impasse again. We've come to the board to ask you and to let you know to prioritize a raise for your teachers. 2017, since the last salary increase, ridiculous is just one word we'll use. We need to attract and retain teachers and treating them with respect, looking at our financials, looking at the COLA for this year at 5.07%, next year at 5.3%, putting that into the multi-year projections. That's what you need to do. Expedite this process. Let your team know for mediation on the 10th to come to the table prepared with an offer and make things right.
Thank you. Eduardo Walbert.
Board members and Dr. Clark, my name is Eduardo Wolbert. I'm a high school teacher at Mount Diablo High School. I teach English. It's my 2nd year in the district. I'm here because our students deserve the best, and we as teachers are not only willing, but ready to fight for what is right by our students. The ability to attract and retain qualified staff is an indispensable component of our district's ability to provide a great education to all students. That ability is in serious jeopardy because we have not had a salary increase since July 2017. But we all know this isn't actually a lack of a pay increase. It's effectively a pay cut. This is why we're willing and ready to strike. We're holding strong with our demand for a 12.5% salary increase over the 3-year contract. We're also continuing to fight for the following: no combo classes at Title I schools or in dual language programs. New state law staffing ratios for transitional kindergarten included in our contract. Class size and caseload maxes in alternative ed. This is a huge equity issue at sites like Olympic High School. Current medical benefit rates where the district pays 80% and members pay 20% stay as they are. Nurses are not forced to split schools and get more support by increasing the FTE of the school nurse liaison/coordinator. Both are critical while we navigate through this pandemic. Counselors are protected from being shuffled around mid-year. Everyone gets to keep their current prep time. Everyone gets more compensation when they have to help cover when there are no subs. All new hires get paid their full per diem rate of pay on their first 2 days of work. The district ensures that there's no bait and switch for involuntary transferees by ensuring the position they choose at the involuntary transfer meeting is their position for the entire next year. And that people who are reassigned retain their right to return to their previous assignments as soon as possible. These are reasonable and feasible demands. These requirements will ensure that our students have the best educators and staff during their school careers. We have stood before you for the last 5 months pleading our case. But if you choose not to accept our demands, we will strike. Look at what's been happening all around the country and even the most unlikely places in the last few years when teachers organize and are ready and are organized. I don't know how you see this going, but I'm increasingly convinced that when teachers are organized and fight, we win. And we are organized. We are ready to fight. We know our worth. We will strike because our students deserve the best. They will watch as we stand and fight for what is right, and we will strike. Thank you.
Thank you. Danielle Ike?
Good evening. My name is Danielle Ike, and I'm a third grade teacher at Bel Air Elementary in Bay Point. I've been a teacher for 17 years, and this is my 6th year in the district. I don't usually speak up at board meetings, although I think the time has come for me to try and make sense of what has been happening. In the last 6 years at Bel Air, I have seen many teachers leave for similar reasons. The cost of living has increased and they need to move to a more affordable area. Another district is paying more money. The cost and quality of benefits are more suitable for their families, or they are simply unable to deal with the stress of all of these things combined. I am currently one of 5 teachers that are considered a veteran at Bel Air. That should be unacceptable in a profession that cares for students. During the past 6 years, I've watched the district allow for bigger class sizes. I've watched the district allow for students to struggle with less staff to support them, so we are organizing. I have watched the district allow the withholding of resources when students need more, so we are organizing. I've watched the district allow teachers to be overworked by adding more to their teaching schedules, so we are ready to strike. I have watched the district allow teachers to work multiple jobs by not giving them adequate pay, so we will strike. I have watched the district allow multiple combo classes because they don't want to hire or have enough teachers, ultimately limiting student learning, so we will strike. I have watched the district allow for teacher turnover due to overwhelming financial instability, so we will strike. I have watched the district allow for our vocal music teacher position to remain unfulfilled, resulting in a loss of prep for our teachers since the beginning of the year. It's February, okay? We haven't had one prep all year long. I've watched the district allow our nurses and counselors to carry caseloads so large that they can't successfully care for anyone, including themselves. So we are going to strike. I have watched the district allow this process of settlement to drag on with no intention of serious negotiations. So we're going to strike. I have experienced the district allowing our teachers to feel overutilized, underappreciated, and ignored when asking for help in all of these areas. So we will strike. Teachers have had enough of allowing the district to manipulate and control the narrative, which is our livelihood. We won't allow it anymore. We will strike, then go on as it has. We will stand up for our students, we'll stand up for ourselves, and we will stand up for what is right. My principal always tells our staff how proud he is that when things get tough, we step up as teachers and we make it happen. We are stepping up and we are going to make it happen.
Thank you. Holly Pitts?
All right. Hello, my name is Holly Pitts. I'm a teacher at Olympic High School and Home and Hospital. I'm standing here before you again. It's my 4th time this year. Again, I'm doing this. And I'm doing this today because our students deserve the best. And we as teachers are willing to fight for what is right by our students. And so you've already heard this tonight. You're going to keep hearing it because we will fight for what is right for our students. The ability to attract and retain qualified staff is critical. You guys know this, we all know this, it is critical. If you don't have staff that can work with students and meet their needs, you don't have a district. You can't deal with a serious equity problem that we have in this district. You need qualified staff that's going to stay to fight these issues year in and year out. We're holding strong with our demand of a 12.5 salary increase over the next 3-year contract. We're holding strong on that. We've already come to you for the last semester telling you why we have to have the raise. We have to have it. There's no wiggle room in that. We're also going to fight for no combo classes at Title I. Okay, not in dual language, TK, 3-4, none of that. We're also going to fight for new state law staffing ratios for transitional kindergarten included in this contract. Okay, class size and caseload maxes at alt ed. This is critical at Olympic High School. Critical. Okay, we can't have huge class sizes there and meet the need. The class sizes we have, we're still struggling to meet the need. They need one-on-one instruction. We need more FTE there, not less and more students. It's not going to work. You're still failing the students. You're still having a serious equity issue. Nurses, not forced to split schools. Actually having enough FTE for school nurses, like actually having enough school nurses. That's important. It's critical. We're in the middle of a pandemic and we're not ready. We're not prepared. And this pandemic's not going away. It's not going to be like, oh, Omicron wave, and then we're clear. It's really clear that's not going to happen. We're going to be dealing with this for a few more years. So let's prepare. Let's think about that. Let's imagine what's going to happen in the future and plan for it now. Okay. Everyone keeps their current prep time. You don't shuffle around counselors. Everyone gets compensated when they're helping for lack of subs. New hires get paid their full per diem rate for the first 2 days. The district ensures no bait and switch for involuntary transfers. And people who are reassigned retain their right to go to their previous assignments as soon as possible.
Thank you.
We are organized and we will strike because our students deserve the absolute best.
Kip Panovich.
Good evening. I'm going to start with a rundown of the COLAs that either have been received or are on the board as presented by school services, which apparently when they say it, everybody believes it. So in 18-19, there was a 3.7, 19-20, 3.26. 2021, there was a 0. This year, 5.07 to kind of make up partially for the 0 from last year. Next year is projected at 5.33, and the following year, at least for the moment, at 3.61. All those compounded for those 6 years is just under 23% in COLA. To put that in like absolute dollars, and this is just for LCFF funding. Back in 17-18, the district received just under 263 million in LCFF funding. This year's projected budget shows that at 29 million. That means between 17-18 and this year, this district is receiving $29 million more from the state. In addition to that, back in 17-18, when people were saying, oh, we're overspending, the certificated salary value was 165 million. This year's projected is 148. So in that same time, you've shed 17 million in certificated salaries. For classified, you shed 5 million. So while you're raking in 29 million more, you've shed, what does that give us? About 21 million. What the hell happened to that? None of that's available to make pay better, to attract and retain better teachers. On the 26th, there's a job fair. You're there, or at least somebody from the district will be there. I looked at the list of the districts there. Pretty much all of them have a better salary schedule than you. So I almost think it's kind of ridiculous to try and say, yeah, we're going to really have people wanting to come here. What better way to tell them, we just settled and we valued our teachers and we want them to come and stay. Your job on the board is to know what's going on with the finances. People can tell you whatever they want, but you have the right that I would love to have to say, I want you to give those actual numbers to me so I can actually see what's going on. So I can dive in and see if we're making a good projection. We can afford to pay our teachers better and attract and retain the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Cora Mitchell. Is this Lily with you?
Yes. Is it okay for us to give her a minute? She'd like to speak as well. My name is Cora Mitchell. I am a parent of 2 students in this district. I've been a resident and taxpayer in this district for 20 years now. And my brother-in-law has been a teacher in this district for the last 20 years as well. So I'm pretty attuned to the challenges that this district has had over the years. And I've heard that we really can't afford to do the things that are being requested by the bargaining groups. But from where I'm standing, we can't afford not to. I worry about what it's going to be like for my kids in 10 years. Are there going to be teachers available to continue teaching them in that time? Because as a social worker, I went into a profession that historically is underpaid for the love of the work. And I can tell you that that only lasts for so long. Eventually you do leave. We can't starve them out. So I know that it sounds like you guys are on pretty far ends of the spectrum when it comes to the negotiations. And I would encourage all of you to take a step back and really look at the big picture of where are we going in the future in this district, because my kids are going to rely on that. Also, I've been helping out with the Mount Diablo High School library setup. I'm really excited that this is happening for those kids, but it's very disheartening for me to hear that there are actually quite a few schools in our district that do not have access to a library, Olympic being one of them. I find that completely inexcusable, completely inexcusable. Those kids are the most at risk. Libraries are one of the interventions in a school that can have the biggest impact on outcomes for these kids. I was going to email you a study, and I'm sorry I got sidetracked, but let me just read to you a little bit. Since 1992, a growing body of research known as the School Library Impact Studies has consistently shown positive correlations between high school library programs and student achievement. I'm going to skip past a lot of the statistical stuff because I think this is most important. Skeptics might assume that those benefits are associated mainly with wealthier schools where well-resourced libraries serve affluent students. However, researchers have been careful to control for school and community socioeconomic factors, and they have found that these correlations cannot be explained away by student demographics, school funding levels, teacher-pupil ratios, or teacher qualifications. In fact, they've often found that the benefit associated with good library programs are strongest for the most vulnerable and at-risk learners, including students of color, low-income students, and students with disabilities. Give Olympic a library, please. College Park needs access to their library. These are the basic things that should be provided to all students. I myself, continuation high school was my only option. I still went on to college, I still got a master's degree. And a lot of that is because of the interventions of libraries I went to 15 different schools before I dropped out my junior year. I remember every library in every school. Every student in this district should have access to a library. Kids that are bused in from Bay Point, they don't have a full community library there. Please look into this and do something to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lily?
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lily and I support my teachers, and it's really dangerous being out in person in school because sometimes some people can get sick and that can get really dangerous sometimes. And I feel like right now in this time and any time like this, that teachers should get paid more because that's kind of dangerous and it's kind of risky to be out there in person. But I really hope people and teachers alike get paid more for being out in this time and risking their lives to teach our children of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. And our last public speaker for public comment will be Linda Ortega.
So how do I follow up with, right? So good evening, Board President Mason, trustees, Dr. Clark, and members of the audience. My name is Linda Ortega, Medea Vice President and Medea Bargaining Chair. I've been on the bargaining team for over 4 years, but I've been in the district for over 20 years, been an educator for 26 years. So I just want to say that every time we come to bargaining, I hear the same thing over and over again. And our members are getting exhausted and tired of the same playbook. And to reference a football analogy, this playbook is getting old. It's time to move on to something new. So for the last 20 years, I just wanted to say that I've been hearing that the district cannot afford pay increases for our employees, and that every time we sit through continuous data updates and PowerPoints about how the district will go bankrupt, and that is, I know that's my word, but bankrupt from a bank perspective, or taken over by the state. And yet, over all these years later, I'm still here, our teachers are still here, our veteran teachers are still here because we are vetted. We are part of this community. Our students rely on us. We are the constant in their lives. And I'm very sad to say that many of our veteran teachers will be leaving and to other districts, our surrounding districts, who we know are getting paid more. So today, while I was sitting at my desk, I got an email, and I'm sure you all saw the same thing, from the School Services of California. It is posted February 2nd, 2022. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just a couple of points. On February 1st, 2022, the Legislative Analysis Office, the LAO, presented a revised COLA estimate for 22-23 it's going to be 6.17%, 6.17%. It's going to be up from the projected 5.33% that was included in the governor's budget that we heard earlier in January. This was presented to the Assembly Budget Subcommittee on Education. So in other words, the LAO estimates that the Proposition 98 cost of 6.17% revised COLA would be an additional $500 million for the local control funding formula alone. So yes, there is money coming, and we know with inflation, things cost more. So our teachers deserve an increase. 2017 is a long time. And I just, in my little house, my PG&E is gone up to like $120. It's just me. That's a lot of money. And I can imagine in families. So please consider keeping your veteran teachers and attracting new teachers. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to communications. District organizations at regular board meetings, a single spokesperson of each recognized district organization may make a brief presentation. Items are limited to those which are informational. First, we have Mark Jones.
First, we're still standing in solidarity with Medea, obviously. This has gone on too long, and it literally is Groundhog's Day today. So does it feel like it? 1,000, good evening, board members and Dr. Clark. 1,281 days. It's been 1,281 days for the Teamsters at the district working without a contract. That means because of rising inflation, healthcare costs, retirement contributions, our members are actually taking home less than they were in 2017 when they received the last increase. That should be shocking to you. But I'm afraid that you're not hearing the urgency of that fact. I actually came out of a hospital setting. I witnessed and experienced what's called compassion fatigue. It's a condition that after witnessing tragedy after tragedy can cause someone to become callous towards the things that should be impacting. Now I'm wondering if that's what's happening here. We've been coming to these meetings and singing the same song. 1,281 should be shocking, but alas, it's just another Wednesday night at the district, literally Groundhog's Day. When can we change this? Can we start tonight, please? I know that many in this room inherited this problem, and it can feel overwhelming, but the time is now to stop being reactionary and to start becoming proactive. I know the numbers you are presented with are daunting, but look again. Hear us when we say the district can afford to finally pay all of their employees what they deserve and what we've been asking for at the table. Put your finger on the pulse of the current political and economic environment. We have another record-breaking budget proposal in the works from the state. Legislation is being brought forth that will bring changes to the funding formula, finally throwing out the inequitable formula we have today that's based on ADA. You're all aware. So please, Dr. Clark, board members, the time has come to be bold and give us a fair contract now.
Thank you.
That's what I wrote.
Okay.
I actually was not able to attend the last couple of meetings. COVID hit our house, so I wanted to touch on a couple other things if I could. The FCMAT report from M&O, I was not shocked to hear the results. Quite frankly, it's something our members have been screaming underwater for many years. They are understaffed and underprioritized. And it's sort of, you're seeing the symptoms of that show up in that report. So I'm thankful that it did come to your attention. I'm thankful that it's come to the public's attention as well. So when we see things that are broken and not fixed, we can look to the reason why. I did have a few disagreements in there. Mainly the custodians are definitely not adequately staffed. That is, you just have to look at the overtime numbers and just walk the halls and figure it out. Or, they used a standardized method that could work, and it does have some value, but it's not accurate when you're looking at this district and the job descriptions and the extra tasks that our custodians take on. And it's also not, doesn't take into account COVID, which is where we're living now. So, I mean, I'm sure it's an old standard. So that's how that number came out. So please consider that as well. But also the FCMAT test at M&O really sort of, you could do a FCMAT test at food services and come up and you'd find the same thing. TIS department, literally the same thing. Job descriptions in the TIS department have floppy disks in them. Literally, and thank God for for everything that they do, because they do go above and beyond all the time. And food services as well, understaffed, underpaid. We're having retention issues. We're buttressing up to minimum wage again. And that is not, who is going to come to work at the district for $15 an hour to serve the students? They do it, the ones you have now are running on heart. But that thing called compassion fatigue I mentioned earlier is taking effect. And it needs to change. Our members need to feel appreciated, and it can't just be with thank you. It has to be tangible, because literally they cannot afford to work in this district anymore. Lastly, I know that one of the previous board meetings, I think it was the last one, the school year calendar was brought to mention, and today, Happy Black History Month. One thing that I would like for you all to consider, because it is actually can be a negotiable item, but it does not have to be, is declaring as President Biden did in last June, declaring Juneteenth as a holiday that needs to be recognized by this district and honored the same way all the other holidays are. I think that's all I have. So thank you for your time tonight, and take care. Please, fair contract now.
Anita Johnson.
Good evening. I am Anita Johnson, President of the Mount Diablo Education Association. My pronouns are she and her. Medea is a united group of educators working together for the benefit of the students of the Mount Diablo Unified School District. The students of this district need a qualified teacher in every classroom and a qualified employee in every position. Our contract expired 215 days ago. Why do you continue to allow management to ignore, neglect, and delay? Our proposals support students and student learning. Our proposals are reasonable and affordable. You do not need to take prep time away from hardworking teachers in order to balance the budget. You can afford to address all of our demands in negotiations and still have funds left over for textbook adoptions and other needs. This is not the time to be asking for sacrifices from your employees. We expect that you will honor our work, value us, and conclude negotiations quickly with a just and fair settlement. In addition, we expect that you will prioritize attracting and retaining qualified staff. The teacher salary schedule has not been increased since 2017. The starting salary offered by Mount Diablo is currently less than the average offered by surrounding districts, and most of these districts will increase their starting salaries in the near future. The district has the funding to afford a 12.5% salary increase over the next 3 years. Staff who have had stagnant salaries for the last 3 years need a significant salary increase in order to make up for what has been eroded due to inflation and increases in benefits costs. Even a 12.5% increase between now and 2024, when the contract ends, is less than half of what is needed to cover the amount that prices will increase between 2017 and 2024. 12.5% spread over 6 years is barely more than 2% per year, and inflation is now running at over 5% per year. Alt Ed class sizes must be limited by the contract. These students need individualized attention from their teachers. We have proposed prohibiting combining students from 2 different grade levels into 1 class. Our experiences have shown that most students benefit more from being in a class with students of the same grade level. This is a compromise from our demand for lower class sizes, which is more expensive. By limiting all classes to students in the same grade, some classes will be smaller than they otherwise would have been if all classes had lower maximum enrollment. Prohibiting combination classes will provide some relief for students from being crowded into large classes. This is especially important in dual language programs, in kindergarten and first grade, and at Title I schools. Staffing for transitional kindergarten programs must comply with the new state law, which requires specific adult to child ratios. These ratios must be included in our contract. The district is resisting this change. Students in transitional kindergarten need and deserve to have sufficient adult attention to keep them safe, to make sure their first school experience is positive, and to support their development. I ask that you direct your bargaining team to accept our proposal and include this legal requirement in the contract. And why are you allowing your team to continue to propose a reduction in prep time for hardworking 4th and 5th grade teachers? These teachers are doing the very best they can to meet the needs of 34 students. And like all teachers, They must frequently work evenings and weekends to get everything done. Their students come to them with a very diverse range of abilities. Many students are struggling with trauma and learning disabilities and stress. And these teachers are trying to prepare them for the challenges of middle school. Yet the district is proposing cutting the teacher's prep time from 2.5 hours a week to 1.5 hours per week. Such a reduction would leave these teachers with less time to plan lessons, grade papers, contact parents, analyze assessment data, complete independent study packets, prepare materials, and all of the other tasks they need to do to meet as many of their students' needs as possible. If permitted, this reduction in the time dedicated to this work would certainly lower the quality of the students' learning experiences and cannot be permitted. How could you allow this to be proposed? Given the current level of state funding, this is no longer the appropriate time to be asking employees to make sacrifices. The expected increases in per pupil funding from the state are 5.0%, 7% for this year, 5.33% for next year, and 3.61% for the third year, a total increase of 14%, on top of the 7% increase from the previous years in which our salary changed 0%. The district has been reducing the number of employees as a response to lower enrollment. Enrollment has declined by 6%, while the number of employees has been reduced by 11%, and you are now planning even more layoffs. The combined impact of higher COLAs, lower enrollment, and few employees means the district's revenue per employee will increase by at least 21% by June of 2024. And this is excluding the current round of layoffs, but it does include the vacant positions. There are over 200 vacant positions in this district right now. This is the primary reason that the district is dysfunctional. What are you doing to address this problem? Competitive salary schedules would be a good place to start. I hope that you share my commitment to the highest salary increase that is affordable, and that you understand the importance of discussing the finances and ensuring the most accurate projections possible. In my experience, different perspectives are essential for creating accurate projections. Please encourage management to engage in communication with us on these topics and to increase the accuracy of the projections. On December 16th, Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona sent out a letter to clarify that ESSER III funds may be used to support hiring and retaining qualified and effective educators in alignment with the goal to provide safe in-person learning and to address the social, emotional, mental health, and academic impact of COVID-19. Given the current level of state funding, this is no longer the appropriate time to be asking employees to make sacrifices. Teachers are under extreme work and financial strain, as many of our community members also are, and now have to take the small amount of energy they have and divert it from the classrooms into fighting a battle with the district to be valued and compensated fairly. This fight is unnecessary because the district has the money and has been encouraged by the state to use it for compensation to help decrease the staffing issues plaguing education. We have several teachers who have left mid-year and positions left unfilled because the district cannot retain and attract teachers to our district. The next 5 to 10 years will see most of the current staff at retirement age, and replacing staff will be difficult with our poor pay schedule. Yes, the district is experiencing declining enrollment and may need to employ fewer teachers next year. A smaller district to manage means the need for fewer managers. I strongly encourage you to look at your management staffing and reduce it by the same percentage of non-management employees that are laid off. It seems that you hear so much about what management does and needs to do that you forget who is really serving the students. I implore you to look really seriously at management staffing and to not let your personal relationship with management impact your budget decisions. Also, please look at the cost for consultants, which should also be declining due to declining enrollment, but it's not. Do you know how much it's proposed to go up? And what do you think about that? The students who will still be here deserve the best educational experiences possible. The most critical element to their educational experience is a qualified employee in every position. Please make this your priority as you deliberate how to spend the new money that is available to you. Finally, I want you to know that there are a lot of people who wanted to be heard this evening, but were prohibited from participating by the in-person nature of this meeting. I strongly encourage you to return to virtual meetings. In conclusion, please hear me. This is no longer the appropriate time to be asking employees to make sacrifices. We expect that you will honor our work, value us, and conclude negotiations quickly with a just and fair settlement. If your management team will not engage in dialogue, what other option do we have to resolve this conflict? What do we need to do to get your attention? What other option do we have? Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us to 10.0, recognitions and resolutions. Review and potential approval of resolution 21/22-47, determination of seniority among certificated employees with the same seniority rate, tiebreaker. Dr. Clark.
I'm going to have Dr. Rubio take this item.
Thank you and good evening, board members. This is an item we bring every year, typically regarding the criteria that we ask the board to take action on to help us resolve ties and seniority when they occur between certificated employees for your consideration.
Any board questions, comments? Not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the resolution 21/22-47, determination of seniority amongst certificated employees.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
That passes 5-0 with our students' approval. Okay. The next one is 10.2, review and potential approval of resolution 21/22-48 in recognition of National School Counseling Week.
Yes, President Mason, I bring to the board this evening resolution 21/22-48 in recognition of National School Counseling Week. Whereas school counselors in their service to students and school communities bring a unique combination of skills, knowledge, and expertise in the interrelated areas of educational development, social emotional well-being, college and career readiness, aptitude analysis, relationship building, trauma response, community partnerships, and more. Being now with timely, significant, attentive to the manifestations of such by way of express gratitude, noting particularly that whereas school counselors contribute vitally to students' academic, social, emotional, and career development, helping students to progress and realize their full potential. And now, therefore, be it resolved with due appreciation, the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby proclaims and recognizes February 7th through 11th, 2022 as National School Counseling Week. President Mason, this resolution is now in the hands of the board.
Thank you. Do we have any trustees that would like to speak to this?
Okay, bear with me. It starts high, goes low, comes back high. Okay, so school counselors, I believe, have superpowers. They help students overcome challenges, help them find their passions, and discover their interests, all on the way to planning for their futures. A school counselor just asking a child where they want to go to school or what they want to do when they grow up can forge a path towards success many students may have never imagined. But like any adult and child relationship, they can potentially cause harm. So when I was a senior in high school and asked by my school counselor where I wanted to apply to college, I told her my list of UCs. Remember, I grew up in the Central Valley, so going anywhere in California was escaping home. And my top choice was Berkeley. But then she told my mother that I should probably consider staying home and going to the community college. This is a shout out to every community college out there, especially our own Contra Costa Community College District. The problem wasn't her assertion that I go to my local community college. In fact, my backup plan, I looked up for Berkeley and UC Santa Barbara, which my top two choices was which community college I could go to there in case I didn't get in, because I would get in eventually. So there was no reason to think though that I couldn't get into a UC. I had a 4.0 my junior and senior year. I was in all the plays, I was in the band, I was a Girl Scout. I did all the things they say you have to do. So thankfully, my mother pushed back and stood up for me, and now you will never tire of me saying, "Go Bears." In our own district, a mom told me how one of our counselors a few years ago, when her daughter asked what she needed to do to go to college, intentionally discouraged her, but luckily that mom pushed back and her daughter too was a college graduate. I share those stories to highlight the superpowers school counselors have. You can be the lifeline to getting a child to school each day, getting a child to dream, and getting a child to grow up to be whatever they want to be. Nearly every one of you use your power, your superpower for good, and for that you deserve our deepest appreciation. I move that we, I move that we approve Resolution 21-22-48 in recognition of National School Counseling Week.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5 trustees plus our student trustee.
Thank you, trustee and Nzeri, for those. Words. Much appreciated.
I interrupt you?
I was just saying thank you to trustee and Nzeri for those words.
Okay. 11.0, we've got public employee appointments. 11.1, review and potential approval of classified personnel appointment, payroll supervisor.
Yeah, we have Dr. Scudero who's going to take the next 4 items.
Okay.
So
the Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Matthew Fielder as the payroll supervisor in the Budget and Fiscal Services Department. Matthew's career in education began over 15 years ago as a foster youth tutor. Most recently, he's been working as a fiscal analyst in the Budget and Fiscal Services Department. Matthew earned a bachelor's degree in business administration. During the summer, Matthew can be found in the Delta with his dog Molly and their kayak. Turn this over to the board for action.
Thank you.
Madam President, I would move that the board approve the appointment of Matthew Fielder as a classified personnel appointment payroll supervisor.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
The computers are just slow. It's not a problem. Person is sitting there. What is going on? There we go.
All right.
That passes unanimously. Thank you for being patient. Would you like to come up and say anything?
My name is Matt Fielder. I look forward to the new role that I'll be taking with the district and serving members of the district and its community in a greater capacity. As Dr. Scudero mentioned, I'm a Wildcat alum, but a Bear at heart. Go Bears.
Okay. Review and potential approval of personnel appointment for interim district-wide social work specialist, Dr. Scudero.
So the Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Sharice Segui as the district-wide interim social work specialist. Sharice has been with the district since 2016 as a social work specialist and transitioned to school counselor in 2018. In both positions, she was served within the Bay Point area. Sharice has also served as the vice president of the Black Educators Association since 2017. Sharice has a bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's of social work. Sharice is a mother, a wife, an advocate, and a dynamic agent of change. Sharice enjoys nature and anything related to horses. Turn this over to the board for action.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move to approve Sharice Segui as the appointment of interim district-wide social work specialist.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1. Is Sharice here with us tonight?
She is not.
Okay. Well, if she's listening, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in your new role. Okay, 11.3, review and potential approval of personnel appointment for program specialist categorical programs, site-based at Ignacio Valley High School.
So the Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Carissa Weintraub as program specialist, categorical program site-based at Ignacio Valley High School. Carissa has probably served MVUSD as a science teacher at Ignacio Valley High School for the past 21 years. In 2015, she was given the opportunity to help launch the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program at YVHS. Carissa has a bachelor's degree in International Environmental Systems and a master's degree in Instructional Leadership. Carissa graduated from Northgate High School, so Mount Diablo Unified is her home. She is also a fiction writer and a science fi fantasy fan who loves to go ghost hunting. We turn this over to the board for action.
Thank you.
I'll move that the board approve Carissa Weintraub as the program specialist, categorical program site-based at Ignacio Valley High School.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1 from our student. Is she here? Oh, there she is.
Oh my gosh. Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for this. I'm very excited, as you probably know. I love our district. I love our students. I love Ignacio Valley High School. I've been there since 2001 and my heart is there. And I'm very honored that I can finally serve the students and serve our family and serve our staff and help support them by being a program specialist, bringing all of my knowledge and experience to that position. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
And thank you for taking on this new role. Okay, review and potential approval of personnel appointment program specialist, special education district-wide.
So the Human Resources Department is bringing for the board's review and potential approval the appointment of Joshua Kessler as a district-wide program specialist. Joshua began his career in education as a mental health counselor before quickly realizing his calling to work in the field of special education. He taught in an SDC class in San Leandro for roughly 7 years before joining the wonderful community of MVUSD. Joshua earned a bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree in teaching with a special education focus. When Joshua is not working, he enjoys watching baseball and cheering on the Angels. He also loves going on walks and hikes with his family. Turn this over to the board for action.
Thank you.
Madam President, I would move that the board approve the appointment of Joshua Kessler as the program specialist, special education district-wide.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5.1. Congratulations. Would you like to say something to us?
Good evening, everyone. Dr. Clark, board, everyone here present. There's a smile under the mask, I promise. I'm not going to show anyone. Really excited to be part of this district and continue to work with special education. I didn't go to Cal, but I'm glad we didn't say where I went to school, UCLA. Go Bruins. I'll say.
Thank you.
Turn my mic back up. It looks like we have no reports and information tonight, so we go to board reports. Would you like to start us off, Trustee Fowler?
Yes. Okay. So as you know, it is February. I do graduate in May, so I've been discussing with some of the California Student Board Member Association and how they appoint their student board member, because a lot of them have had way more experience with it. I know it's fairly new in this district, so I'm working on that as well to make sure that students have a voice on who becomes the next student board member. And then next, for the National Student Board Member Association that we're currently working on, we've established different committees. And in the next upcoming meeting, I will be discussing what I'm working on regarding diversifying the English core and curriculum and kind of inspiring us other student board members to implement that into their district as well. And then thanks to Dr. Clark, I've also been selected for a Black Youth Roundtable discussion where I will meet with the California State Assembly member, Rebecca. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce her last name.
Bauer Kahan.
Bauer Kahan, thank you. Along with others, to talk about matters that she should be aware of. So I'm very excited for that. And also, please apply for the State Seal of Civic Engagement. It's open to all 11th and 12th graders who are civically engaged in their communities. It will be acknowledged on your diploma if you receive it. And then please email me, fowlerka@mdustate.org, if you have any questions or if you're interested. And then I also have a digital poster on my Instagram, which is mdusd.sbm. It's mdusd.sbm if
School board member.
student board member, yes. And then lastly, I am very proud to announce that I got into the #1 co-ed HBCU in America, Howard University. Thank you. It's definitely my top school, so I've been applying to those scholarships, staying up all night to hopefully go there. So I wanted to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to flourish in this position and just give a platform to all leaders in our district. It's really important. So thank you.
And congratulations.
Yes.
Okay, Trustee Mayo?
Thank you very much and congratulations. We're very proud of you. It's very uplifting and brings joy to us all because it's something that's very bright in this pandemic. So thank you. I want to mention last night that I attended the CAC meeting along with Mrs. Trustee McFerrin, and we had the great opportunity for those, I'm using an acronym, I apologize, for the Community Advisory Committee meeting last night, and that is the parents of special education students. It was a great meeting, and I want to thank the special education staff for providing everyone who attended the opportunity to experience some of the challenges that our special education students endure in their daily instruction and interaction on our school sites. There were 6 different tasks for us to accomplish that were, so to speak, mild examples of the everyday challenges that our special education students go through. And of course, disabilities can be from very mild to severe. And it's important for everyone to recognize that these students need a little bit of extra time. Maybe information needs to be repeated or presented in a different manner so that students understand. And it was a wonderful experience for everyone who attended last night. So I want to thank CAC and our special education staff for the presentation.
Thank you, Vice President Nzewi.
Oh, it's on. It is February, and as we can see from Trustee Fowler, Black history is made every day. So congratulations on getting into Howard. My daughter looks up to you a lot, and she wants to go to Howard. That's on her list. So now she'll be following for the next 4 years to see how it is. And maybe she'll be going there the moment you graduate, of course. But I want to honor Lunar New Year. So to all who celebrate, my boss gave a great brief talk yesterday about honoring Lunar New Year, as she's Japanese American, and honoring that it's also Black History Month, and the very long history of Black and Asian solidarity in this United States. So I don't have her words, which were so eloquent, but I wanted to acknowledge that. But being Black history, I wanted to say that I need that, my phone, hold on. I wanted to say that at our last meeting, I encouraged our educators to not just focus on Black trauma, that part of our history, but on Black joy and things like our trustee getting into Howard and other really positive things that happen. And more than learning, it's not, slavery, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Barack Obama. It's more than that. So I will echo that probably the rest of this month. But in December, I attended a webinar about how Black students earn it was about Black students, language, and literacy. And it was about how a professor from UC Irvine, a linguist, and studying how Black children who speak Black English dialect learn how to read, and the challenges in that. And there was so much in it. I wish everyone could have seen this talk, but so much in it in celebrating Black English and Black language and the culture and history around that. But that it is a dialect in the United States, much like a Southern dialect, or you think of different accents in the United States that we have less respect for or value less because of the way it sounds to our ear and whatnot. But to know me also is to know I love musical theater. And yesterday I was really excited just to see this post from the show Hadestown. And Hadestown has Andre DeShields, is an actor who's been on Broadway for over 50 years, but it was in Hadestown that he won his first Tony. He played the wizard in The Wiz in the early 1970s, among other things across his 50 years. So he plays Hermes in Hadestown, which tells the story of Eurydice and Orpheus. And he starts the show by just saying, "I," and Hadestown posted that yesterday and acknowledging that it's borrowed from Black English and means, it's copacetic, totally agreeable. And then the first night that they came back, I'm going somewhere. The first night that they came back after Broadway reopened this late summer, early fall, when he said it ended in a 2.5 minute, just the crowd going crazy. But that literally is the first line of the show. And he says, in response to that, I had to look up the definition, because he's way too smart for me. But so I'm going to tell you the definition of this word, because it may be unfamiliar to you. He said, a great ululation of unbridled joy, suspended time for a full 2.5 minutes. And ululation is to utter a loud rhythmic sound, which in this case was I. And I just love this acknowledgement of a word from Black English and the joy that it brings. I just thought it was an example of real acknowledgement of Black history and Black culture in the United States. So that's a long way to get around to. I hope we can do that all month with our students and find ways to not, again, focus on the trauma, but just all of just the fun and joyous ways that Black folks have contributed to our culture. And that is my report.
Thank you. Trustee McFerrin.
I was also, hello, everyone. I was also able to attend the CAC event last night. And Trustee Mayo gave a really exceptional summary of some of the activities that we were able to participate in. So I will also just add that there was a really wonderful presentation and discussion at the beginning of the event, which included a lot of really helpful suggestions around kind of the language that we use to discuss disability. And I think that was a really, really important part of the evening. And I could tell the group appreciated it. I really love going to the CAC meetings. I'm really glad to be a part of the group again this year. It's really a very well-run group, and I would encourage anyone interested to start attending the meetings. And let's see, I've been engaging in a lot of really interesting smaller conversations on topics that are of great importance to me and of people that I've been discussing them with. These include the core curriculum in English and the novels. This is something that I have a lot of experience with just over the course of my career, and also especially where I am now, where we have, this is something Trustee Fowler's talked about, but we choose from a list that includes a traditional title, a book by an author of color, and a book by a female author. And so it's been interesting to kind of learn more about kind of what our team has been working on in MDUSD, and I'm looking forward to starting to attend some of those meetings and engaging in those conversations. They're really important. I also have been engaging with people about grading for equity, and I went to another workshop the other day, and really interested in those discussions. And I know that we have a lot of teachers who are working on this and kind of trying to figure out how to collaborate with their colleagues. And I'd be happy to brainstorm with anyone, especially, I don't really ever take off my teacher hat. I really live in it. So I'm happy to talk with anyone kind of from that perspective as well. And that's all I can think of tonight.
Thank you. Trustee Count.
Thank you. So happy Black History Month, happy Lunar New Year. And also this month is World Hijab Day. I learned that from one of our teachers. So thank you to all of our educators out there who are sharing these kinds of things, not only with your students, but with each other and with all of us through social media and other ways of sharing the great things that we can all celebrate about the cultures of our students. We had the CCC SBA meeting, so the Contra Costa County School Boards Association meeting on January 20th with a discussion about the governor's budget. I was also really happy to hear from the Stanislaus County of Education's Lifeguard Initiative, which is all about mental health, not only for students, but also for staff, including teachers. And I think there was a lot of interest that came out of that from school board members around the county. And so we're looking forward to hearing more about that topic. I attended the Mount Diablo PTA Council meeting with Trustee Mayo, who always does a really great job of mentoring PTAs throughout the district. And we had a really great program speaker there, Monty Bonsack from the MDUSD Hope program. And so there was some really great sharing there amongst PTAs from across the district and information from her. So much appreciated. Two more things I wanted to say that the CSBA, so California School Boards Association, has the Coast to Coast National Advocacy Days on Education, April 25th to 27th. And that is something that I'm interested in attending. So I looked it up and the registration, and it does say that you get a discount if more than one person from your school district is going to attend. So I would love to know if any of the other school board members are interested in attending that, because we would both get a discount apparently. And people are registering. Apparently it is filling up. So, lastly, I was really interested in, student mental health and the kind of levels of anxiety that so many of our students are facing. And am really excited about what the state is providing to us for free on this. So if you go to indieflix.com/California, so it's INDIEFLIX.com/California, it talks about this film called Angst. And so State Superintendent Tony Thurmond talked about Angst, building resilience, and its accompanying easy to use curriculum will help elevate the voices of students who are living with emotional distress so that they will feel heard, validated, and supported. And so it's a program, it's a film-based mental health support program endorsed by educators, psychiatrists, and mental health advocates. It includes interviews with kids, teens, educators, experts, and parents, and has all kinds of corresponding materials with it. It directly addresses anxiety, its causes and solutions, helps develop long-term resilience, strength, and emotional well-being, and provides strategies and techniques to help deal with mental health challenges. And this program is available to all California public schools, middle and high schools, through June 2022. So for people at home, there is an at-home version that you can watch that is the first and third Wednesday of every month. So that's today. And it apparently was released at 3 p.m. So you can click and register to watch it for free. And you have till like 2 a.m. to start watching it. And then you have, once you've started watching it, you have 24 hours to finish watching it. It's only 43 minutes long. So, and if you miss it tonight or tomorrow, you can also do it in 2 weeks. So that's the at-home piece. And then for schools, it's totally free, and it's just the principal needs to go and register. And then it can be shown at the school with discussion guides. It's also fully in English and Spanish, all of those pieces. So, so as a parent, I'm interested in watching it too. So hope to be able to see that get, to our students and our staff. And that is it for my report. Thank you.
Well, I attended the DLAC meeting, the Contra Costa School Boards Association meeting, and with several other members here on the new African American Uplift program. They had a great presentation that they did. Trustee McFerrin and I were both on the Wellness Committee meeting together. They're getting going again. That's exciting. Trustee Cowan and I were both on the IB panel that was done earlier in the week for Sequoia. Listened in on the Business Alliance meeting the other day. And then on Saturday, the local supervisor, Federal Glover, and some of his staff, and the local resident deputy Valentine, and myself, and another MAC member, gave out 250 kits to families in Bay Point that contained rapid test, an N95 mask, and sanitizer. They just drove through the bus circle. I want to thank Dr. Clark for letting us use the school on a weekend. The principal dropped by, Salima Moon, and said hi to us. So it was much appreciated by the community. And what my hope this year for February being Black History Month is that we will see history made with the first female Black judge appointed to the Supreme Court of the nation. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope they get their act together and get it done by the end of the month. So having said that, we'll go to superintendent's report.
And I have a presentation. Well, thank you, board, for this opportunity just to give some, hopefully some brief updates. First of all, I just want to always revisit our LCAP goals about students receiving a high quality education in a safe and welcoming environment with equitable high expectations. And goal 2, high quality, culturally proficient and responsive staff will provide engaging instruction, respectful to all students' backgrounds. And number 3, again, to continue with parents and family and community will be informed, engaged, and empowered as partners with the Mount Diablo Unified School District. And then also just looking at our learning acceleration triangle, we want to accelerate learning, and we do that by high quality and culturally responsive instruction, and educational equity, preparing all students for college and career readiness, and social emotional learning, where we're engaging with family and communities. So I do want to recognize that it is Black History Month, and I know there's lots of activities taking place out at our school sites, and we're very proud of the work that's being done to include all of our students and to teach this important part of history, that has not been recognized in the past. I also want to acknowledge Happy Chinese New Year. And, this is a time of celebration in the Chinese cultures. And I also want us to celebrate and to learn about that and make sure that our students are exposed to the new year and what it represents. And hopefully students who identify with this feel represented and proud that activities are taking place throughout the district. So I do want to acknowledge that. Last week, I shared data on our assessments that we've been doing, and the month of January has been very tough due to the Omicron variant, and we've had a high number of staff and students and community members who have contracted the virus or who have been who've needed to isolate. And so this is a quick graph of our student absences that have taken place during the month of January. And we see, we started off with about 4,100 students absent, and it peaked at 5,400. And as we're rolling into the beginning of February, we're down to about 1,600. So things are definitely getting better, and we want to continue on that positive trend. And we really are seeing positive numbers throughout the county and beyond. But we want to focus on our county. And, we check those numbers every day, and they are looking better. But I also want to thank our mitigation efforts and thank everyone for doing their share, staying home when they're sick, isolating, wearing a mask, using hand sanitizer, and so on. So I want to give big kudos to our Mount Diablo community for all doing their share. We appreciate that. This week, we've secured over 1 million new N95 and KN95 masks. Those are available to any and all staff members who want them. They are out at every site. They are also available to our secondary students. The N95 and KN95 are available to students. And we also have the surgical masks that are available to all of our elementary students and secondary students. So, I do want to go on record and say that we have secured these. They are out at the school sites. They're at district office. They're at Willow Creek. They are distributed throughout the site, and we have many more in the warehouse. And so we'll continue to provide those as long as necessary. I also wanted to just update that we have continued to provide testing to our students and staff, and it is at all of our high schools and Riverview Middle School, Willow Creek, and the district office. And I have the days here posted. It is on our website. Anyone can go to our website and click on the COVID tab and look at testing, and you can see the testing and time frames there. I do want to recognize we are offering testing 6 days a week. So it is taking place Monday through Friday, and then Saturday at Concord High. So we continue to do that, and will continue to do that until it's no longer needed. Also on January 31st, we're moving to group contact tracing. We, our administrators and staff have worked extremely hard on the contact tracing, and it has been a Herculean effort to keep up with the notifications and doing what they can to keep people informed so that they can make good, wise, healthy decisions. But now the county had moved to this a few weeks ago. I wanted us to be extra safe and continue with the process that we had already been using over the last, since school started in July, August. And so we're just now moving into group contact tracing. We did send a notice out to all employees. We did send a notice home to all parents. So everyone is aware of this shift. And again, whenever you talk COVID, there's going to be people who are in agreement and there's going to be people who are not in agreement. And so, again, there is no perfect system, but this is the system that we're moving to so that we can continue to serve our students and staff and community in the best way possible. So little information there on group contact tracing. I have suspension data. I've been committed to bringing suspension data to this board because we're under state directives to improve our suspension numbers, and so part of that is being transparent with the data, as we are transparent with all that we do. And this is from October 12th to November 12th, and you can see we have 156 suspensions. And you can see at the secondary level is where some of those numbers are high. So we can see Pine Hollow had a spike. We can see Riverview and Mount Diablo High School and Ignacio Valley. So that was in October, November. And we were well aware of challenges that students were going through after being out of school for so long and dealing with the pandemic, that as they came back, we were dealing with some pretty extreme behaviors that we've been working to deal with at the school sites. December looks a little better. So we're down to 133 suspensions, but as we look at our secondary schools, Oak Grove kind of took the place of Pine Hollow, and we still have Riverview there, and Concord High had a spike, and also Mount Diablo is there as well. And so this total number is down to 133. And again, I just want to, just recognize that reducing suspensions is not there's no program, there's no quick fix to it. It really comes down to relationships, to connecting with kids, to providing support to kids, to making sure that we're consistent with our expectations and that we hold high expectations for our students. And we partner with families so that we can work together to identify the behaviors that we want to see and change the behaviors that are inappropriate at the school sites. And our administrators, our teachers, our support staff do what they can to work towards that. But there is no easy fix. You have to roll up your sleeves, and you got to work with kids, and you got to work with families, and you have to support staff in bringing these numbers down. And that is our hope. My directive is not to not suspend for suspendable offenses. My directive is to do just what I had said: create relationships, find out what's going on, make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students, hold our students accountable with high expectations. But at our soul, we are all teachers, and so we have to help teach our students ways to deal with conflict, ways to deal with frustration, ways to deal with different situations that they come encounter with at a school setting. So we are working on those. However, I wanted to give you some examples of what that looks like in action. So here we have at Riverview High School, we have Dr. Francis is leading a Black History Month intro workshop at a recent staff meeting. And he is presenting cultural appropriation versus appreciation. So this is Dr. Francis and the Riverview staff at a staff meeting talking about this and talking about culturally responsive teaching. And they're using Black History Month as that opportunity. Also at Riverview, I had an opportunity when I was at Riverview to hear this young man speak. And this is the principal out there, and she is with her student body president. And this young man is a very delightful man, very, very, very engaging, and really is excited about school. And he really is a true leader at that school. And he has a strong relationship with his teachers and the administration there and other students. And so I did want to highlight and put his, very bright face on that screen and say that's what it takes, is that relationship. Another thing at Riverview School is Riverview Middle School. This board approved a partnership mentoring program, my other brother, and this is day 2 of home visits. And so not only is Dr. Anderson engaging with students at the school and mentoring them at school, he also did home visits so he can go and talk to parents. And again, it's those relationships. So I've showed you an example of staff development. I showed you an example of principal and student. Here is that reaching out to community. And then I know she's going to be embarrassed when I go to the next picture, but I will. Actually, it'll be the next picture. But this is Riverview Middle School recognizing and celebrating student achievement. So these are students who received 4.0s for the grading period. And can't really see it from the picture, but on the right picture there is Riverview swag that they're going and they're recognizing the students in class, giving them certificates and giving them a token of Riverview apparel, and showing that pride. And when you look at these pictures, there's big smiles on the face of those young people. They feel they're being recognized, and that's something. Again, it's all about that relationships. It's all about guiding our young people and helping them get through middle school or high school or wherever they are. But the foundation is all in relationships and expectations. And then the last piece, and again, this is President Mason, who's probably not going to want me to put this picture up there, but I did. But this is now bringing in the community. This was at a community event by Supervisor Glover, and they were handing out COVID kits. And as President Mason said, the principal came by and participated, but Federal Glover and President Mason and his staff, and I know we have our sheriff that's out there that's partnering with the school and supporting the school and supporting the students and mentoring students out there. He was also involved. So there's that community piece. So I'm just real quickly just showing you, instead of looking at those suspension numbers and looking at the school with the deficit mindset, looking at them with the growth mindset, and what can we do to create relationships, create high expectations, and try to improve those discipline outcomes by connecting our students to the schools and showing them that you truly care about them and give them the tools that they need to be successful. And so I'm very happy about the work that's taking place out at Riverview. Some other celebrations. Probably didn't know that it was the 100th day of school, and if you have anything to do with an elementary campus, you know when it's the 100th day, and teachers have done things like 100 balloons and 100 buttons and 100 little goldfish and all these things. And so as I go through a couple of celebrations here, I just wanted to highlight those 100 days of school. We have Olympic High School. We have this young lady is, and there were lots of pictures. I just pulled one off of their social media. But this young lady, they have a term for it, the term for credit queen. So I'm guessing that those are in the fourth in term number 4. You got to make up those credits so you can graduate. And so they had all kinds of pictures of students who had made up those credits, and you have the staff out there celebrating them and recognizing them and just seeing the excitement on those young people's faces. And so you can see her face there on the left, that big smile, and the other one is her with her mask on, so you can't see that smile, but you can see it in their eyes. This is our College Park Choir, and they had the great opportunity to sing the national anthem at a Warriors game a couple of weeks ago. So that they're obviously happy and and representing our district very well on the over there at the Golden State Warriors auditorium. And so very, very proud of them. Concord High School, their girls cross country received the NCS Scholastic Award. And this is when your team has the highest cumulative GPA of the other teams in the league. And so for the girls cross country to get this distinction, and we have these banners all over the district, right? We have many of our high schools who are in these banners, but I always want to call these out and recognize these because this is just as important as winning the meet or winning the match or whatnot, or winning the game. To be a scholastic NCS division winner is something that we should recognize and be very, very proud of. And then, in December, I was invited for a final exam And, you know, just for the record, I'll always go to a final exam when they feed you. And so part of the final exam, I went to Serendipity and I sat there and I had a lovely lunch and I was served. And, you know, the students gave me a tour of the kitchen. This isn't that day. This is another day, obviously, but I don't need all that food. I had a very, very modest lunch because I rarely eat lunch. But again, these are students who are engaged, hands-on stuff. They took such pride in cooking the food and prepping the food and serving it and making sure that, you know, I felt comfortable. And there were lots of people in the restaurant that day. So just wanted to give Mount Diablo High School and Serendipity a big shout out. And, you know, Northgate High School, their boys basketball team is doing some really good things, and hopefully they'll be making the playoffs this year. But on the right, kind of doesn't do it justice, but also their jazz band, you know, performed and earned some accolades at a recent jazz festival and whatnot. So want to recognize them. And that concludes my report. It was a lot in there, right? We had the pandemic, which we're all dealing with. We had data, as I have committed to bringing to this board, and then we had just some of what's going on at our schools. And although we have struggled during the month of January, as so many people have, you know, things are still happening at our schools, and our students are still, you know, showing up. They still need caring adults to interact with them and to, you know, to continue to educate them. And that's what we do here. And I'm very proud of the effort that everyone's making. So thank you. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to the consent agenda. Are there any items that people would wish to have pulled from the consent agenda? I have two, 15.4 and 15.5.
Madam President, I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of 15.4 and 15.5, which will be considered separately.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1. All right. 15.4 was review and potential approval of district administrators to attend the Growing School Garden Summit in Denver, Colorado. I was just curious from when I read here, it said they were invited by Sprouts to present. Usually when I'm invited to present, they pay for everything. If I submit a proposal and I'm chosen, then I'm paying for my own way. But usually when they're asking you to come, especially when you've done well under a grant they gave you, that they would pay for the expenses. So I was just curious why they did not.
Yeah, so I did look into that, and what the invitation included was they gave them free registration, but we still had to take care of travel. So
Okay.
So again, that is why, and so they still wanted to go, and they knew it was going to be some expense to them. So that's what it
Okay.
is.
All righty. Okay, so I will make a motion to approve. Trustee Fowler,
Yes.
and that passes with a 5+1 vote. Okay, the next one, review and potential approval of the Skyhawk Sports Academy contract for the CARES Expanded Learning Program. As most of you know, I know a little bit about this program. And I'm just curious because in the past, our staff would provide the recreation. We sometimes paid for referees or coaches if we needed them. And again, anybody who knows me knows when I see supplemental funds being pulled out, I'm going to question that. And I also was understanding that actually the ACES programs were receiving more money. So I was just curious, what is our staff doing if they're not doing their recreation specialists? So why aren't they doing the recreation? And why would the ACES grant not be picking up the full cost of this?
Yeah, so I have Ms. Roberts who, when I scanned the audience earlier, I didn't see her, but she was back there, so she can address this question.
Good evening. As Deborah knows, we're very familiar. We started the CARES program in Mount Diablo. So you're right, Deborah, we have run that due to the staff shortages. We've been really staff short, and we were able to have some carryover funds from last year. And so we really wanted to re-engage the athletic program. And we used to have it just in middle. We expanded it to elementary. And with COVID, we kind of put that on hold. So we were looking to partner to kind of re-engage it. My hope would be that we could restart it and do it ourselves. But like everything, we've been hitting at least a 30 to 40% staff shortage and really trying to recruit qualified staff. So we looked at this as a partnership to kind of continue. Funding wise, it was just, we looked at the available funds. If there's concerns about LCFF, we can always go back and adjust and look at other carryover ACES funds or ELO funds.
Okay, so is it a matter of you can't use the staff funding to pay for this, so we're having to use other money? Because if you're short staff, theoretically, you'd have more money.
Staff funding
yeah, if there's a shortage on staff, we're not spending much on staff, so is it, you can't spend, it's not money that they'll allow us to spend on an outside contract?
They being CDE?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's just, it was a choice of how we were going to fund it. So if the concern is LCFF, we can completely change and pay for ACE, use our ACES, which is our California Department of Ed grant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to use acronyms. But yeah, no, we don't have to use the LCFF. We could definitely use the after school grant funds instead, if that is the concern that you have.
That was the main concern, and that was I would prefer that, but I don't know how the rest of the board feels about it.
I would concur.
So is there a time? Crunch? If we could come back, we're meeting next week.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can put it back on. I just have to, because I just look at the agenda.
Okay.
If it is, then we can just make that adjustment for you. If it doesn't, then I'll bring it back with an adjustment with the funding strengths.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay. Thank you.
So did we need a motion on that this evening with the change in funding stream? I'm sorry, I was not clear on that.
Yeah, I think if I heard Ms. Roberts correctly, she'd like you to approve that, and if she can change the funding stream, she will. If she can't, she'll bring it back next. She'll just resubmit it next week and have it on our agenda for Wednesday.
Do you need a motion? Madam President, I move to approve the Skyhawk Sports Academy contract for the CARES Expanded Learning Program for the 2021-22 school year with an edit to the funding to move what is under LCFF supplemental to be spent from the after-school education and safety grant.
Okay. Second. There we go. Got a second. All right. Trustee Fowler.
Yes.
We completely confused. I'm over there now. Okay, and that passes 5+1. Very good. That takes us to, I believe, items of business. 18.1, review and potential approval of courses of study for high school math. I believe we've seen this at a previous meeting.
Yeah, we don't have a presentation. We're just asking for potential approval on this item.
I move that we approve the courses for study for high school math.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1. Okay, the next is 18.2, review and potential approval of courses of study for English 1 through 4. I believe we've seen this at a previous meeting.
That is correct. So we're just asking for approval.
I'll move that the board approve the courses of study for high school English courses, including English 1 through 4.
Very appropriate.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
That passes 5 plus 1. All right. 18.3, review and potential approval of job descriptions as specified in the Comprehensive Coordinated Early Intervening Services, CCEIS plan. This is for action. Dr. Clark,
Yeah,
anything?
and again, this is the second time this has come back, so we're just looking for approval on that.
Okay,
I move that we approve the job descriptions as specified in the comprehensive coordinated early intervention.
thank you. We have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Very good. That passes 5 plus 1. Okay, 18.4, review and potential approval of submission of J13A for College Park High School and Mount Diablo High School Fall 2021. This is information and possibly action. Dr. Clark.
Yes, so this was when, let me just get my notes here.
The water main break.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure. This was when we had the water main break between the high school and the middle school there, and we're submitting this J13 because a large number of students, we can't have school if there's no water, and so by the time the water got on, many of our students were already absent. So we're just looking for approval for this so we can submit this.
Thank you. Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the submission of J13A for College Park High School and Mount Diablo for fall 2021.
Second. Okay, Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5 plus 1. All right, moving right along here. 18.5, conduct public hearing for RFQ number 1896, district-wide building automation, HVAC systems and lighting, and potential approval of resolution 21/22-49, authorizing a district-wide design build energy services project. So should I go ahead and open the public hearing, or do we need information first?
Yeah, we can open it.
Okay, the public hearing is open.
Ms. Morales, do you have a presentation or anything? Yes.
Come on
Okay.
up. Okay, public hearing is closed.
Thank you, Dr. Clark, President Mason, and board members and the other board members. Thank you. I'd like to introduce you to Mark Starkey and Elliot Feldman from Snyder Electric, who will be presenting this board item to you for potential approval of Resolution 2122-49, authorizing a district-wide design build energy services project. So with that, I'll hand it off to Mark. Elliot. Excuse me.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I feel like I should start with a joke about my University of Oregon alumni beating Cal Bears, but let's just see how things go before I make any jokes. It's probably best, but thank you very much, and we appreciate the opportunity. So here's a quick overview of what we'll be talking about. We're going to just recap essentially the work that's been done to date by the district with your RFQ leading up to today's conversation. I'll provide an overview of the specific government code that this project would be enacted under, as well as an introduction to the specific project team, including Mark Starkey and myself. From there, we'll go into really our action plan, or what the recommendation for how we can implement this on your behalf. And I'll just wrap things up with an overview of what the design agreement entails, the fee associated with that, and how that would actually be paid out. And then from there, we'll tie it together with all the benefits, both on the student side, classroom side, as well as the energy savings opportunities. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to pause at any point. Additionally, if you have recommendations or thoughts, I think really effective projects are when stakeholders are engaged early. And so we would love to hear that starting now. So back in August, the district issued an RFQ, essentially looking for a turnkey solution to help enact various energy conservation and facility improvement projects, such as lighting, the completion of the second half of your building automation systems, and HVAC improvements. We, along with other firms, responded in October and were chosen to then interview towards the late end of October. And shortly after, Schneider was selected as the desired partner. We are now here back today asking for your approval pending final contract negotiations with the district and with our party. This project, and essentially really any energy conservation project for a California K-12 school district, will be enacted under something called Government Code 4217. It's really a open-ended contracting delivery method, essentially allowing for a school district or any public agency to get into an energy savings opportunity with as limited barriers as possible. The state wrote this rule so that you could see savings, we can continue the green effort, and really to give flexibility for that. Your district has already done a great job issuing an RFQ and finding the right partner. And the contract essentially is fairly open-ended as long as the associated project costs are paid through the direct energy savings identified in the project over essentially the lifespan of the project. We have done some preliminary analysis to confirm that. I believe that's in your resolution. And at the end of the design phase would bring back a new update on what the expected savings to be, as well as the fixed firm project price, confirming 4217 is met. Moving into the project team, both Mark Starkey and I will be your main point of contact through the duration of any project that you move forward with. That's starting today, all the way into the commissioning and final closeout of the project. Daniel Cotton is a project development manager. He will be assisting during the design phase, as well as Jose Carrasco, our energy engineering manager for the entire West Coast, putting together all those savings that we mentioned. John Stancliffe is a construction project manager of ours. He actually managed some of the work that we did on the Northgate project. He will be integral in making sure that what we are designing is feasible from a construction standpoint. And then assuming you move forward with a construction project of some size or scope, he would be managing the day-to-day while Mark and I are also assisting in that process too. Just so you have a little bit of a sense of who Schneider Electric is, we've worked with over 70 California K-12 school districts. But I think something that really sets us apart is the amount of repeat customers that we have. Up here on the map are all school districts throughout California that we've done multiple phases of work with. We're also really proud to say we've been ranked #1 in our industry for the last 4 years, as well as one of the most ethical companies. And we are currently the most sustainable company worldwide for multiple different resources. So now kind of moving into our project management plan and really how we're going to go out and execute this on your behalf. We've already started with district-wide audits prior to the contracts being finalized so that we can ensure we meet the construction windows that we have. And for California school districts, that's usually over the summer period, but also to ensure you can see some of those savings as soon as possible as you have other needs for those dollars that we've heard today and we've understood through our conversations with the district. We're going to start each of the measures sort of on their own path. And the reason for that is lighting, for example, can move quicker than HVAC because of potential DSA requirements, as well as the procurement and material lead times. So all trains essentially on each of these tracks are leaving now, and we will be bringing back fixed firm construction prices and the associated savings as soon as the design efforts are complete. We think that the design, for example, for lighting should be really probably done by March, that we can bring back a fixed firm project. And by the way, we're talking district wide when we say lighting. And then we're hoping to install that piece of it as soon as this summer when the students are out. Again, for what we're asking for approval tonight is just around the design fee. But to give you a little sense of what that actually entails, we'll go out and audit every single school site, which I think is going to be a benefit to what Eric and his team has already been doing with collecting the data for each of your school sites and really making sure you have all relevant information. So we're going to look at every single light. We're going to look at every single HVAC unit. We're going to work with district stakeholders to understand where the pain points are, where things can be improved, what's working well, what doesn't need to be touched. And then go through a full design where we provide different product choices, different solutions. We're 100% agnostic in that. And really at the end of the day, the district gets to choose what that project is going to look like. We'll bundle all that up and present that in a detailed report with fixed firm project price and bring that back, as I mentioned, for approval. The design fee, which we have listed at about $385,000 right now, the way that that works is that it's rolled into a construction contract. So you would, the district would not be entitled to pay that fee if you move forward with a project. Essentially, it works as an exit fee that if you decide not to engage with us any further, that's the amount that the district would owe back. What's really nice about that is that there's a large deferment of when those dollars are actually paid, because it would come over the construction schedule of value. So there's no upfront cost. And really you get to see some of those savings right away along with the construction effort. Now, most importantly though, there are some really great benefits for your district for this effort. The dollar savings is significant. Our energy team has conservatively modeled about around $1.3 million in first year savings just by converting all your lights over to LED, standardizing and retro commissioning your building automation, as well as your HVAC. And then, equally as important, there's many great classroom benefits, including improved air quality, which is a great COVID mitigation strategy, but also for smoke days, as we're seeing more and more. Indoor air quality, tying it together with the HVAC is critical. Safety and security will be enhanced by doing things like outdoor lighting. And really, we're trying to partner and work hand in hand with the district to make sure that the projects are appropriately commissioned. Eric and Melanie's teams are trained and there's proper on the maintenance of these issues so that you're set up for success moving forward. I went through that a little bit quickly. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have, but thanks again. And we're really excited to be here and presenting for you.
Thank you. Question?
Yes, thank you. Two questions came to mind as you were talking. One is you talked about being ready to install the LED lighting this summer. Would that be for the entire district, all 50 school sites? Like, is that really feasible to do?
Yeah, that's what we're aiming for. So we have essentially partnered with multiple subcontracting firms to have them going all on their at the same time. So that's how we would be managing all of that, having multiple teams working underneath us so that we could efficiently go out and install district-wide all at the same time.
Thank you. And then secondly, when you're looking at HVAC, are you only looking at the buildings that have HVAC currently, or are you also looking at spaces that don't have any HVAC yet?
Yeah, we've been speaking with Eric directly about that. And so we're happy to look at what we would call unconditioned spaces where you would need to add air conditioning as well. And if the district would like to incorporate that into our potential project, we're happy to do that. Or if there's a different path for that moving forward, that's fine as well. We're essentially going to audit and touch every site and see what's needed there.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we'll also be looking at the MUs. We'll also be looking at the MUs and kitchens. Doing our site utilization walks where we're getting data from each site. I talked to a lot of the kitchen staff and they're like, please put some HVAC in here. We desperately need it. So we'll be looking at that cost and getting that with Schneider's team as well.
We could use some heat about now.
Right, exactly. So that is what-
Thank you. I asked that because, you know, when we went through the facilities master plan just a few years ago, the HVAC in the MUs was something that came from the community as a high priority. So I'm
Right,
glad that
yeah,
that's
and
something
MUs
we're
and
emphasizing.
kitchens as well.
Any other questions? Trustee Mayo?
For the lighting, I guess I shouldn't call it an upgrade, for the lighting work, will we be considering improving the lighting condition in classrooms where it is below par?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we're going to do is something called a photometric analysis, which essentially takes a light reading for all your existing conditions, and we'll cross-reference that with the standards for school environments to identify where your lighting needs are. What's really interesting is sometimes that when we go over to switch to LED, rooms can be overlit as well.
Right.
And so then we can do what we call delamping, which is a further energy savings measure. But essentially, we're always going to hit that standard, whether it needs to bring more light to the classroom or even potentially less than what was there. We're going to make sure that all the classrooms reach that standard for that optimal learning environment.
So I'm going to ask a crazy question, be patient. So if a classroom has more light at the window area and less light at the teacher wall, will we be able to vary the light output across the classroom?
Yeah, and you can. And if you look up, and don't blind yourself, but if you were to look up, you'll see essentially 4 tubes inside all these questions. So a way that we could do that would be maybe the back half closer to the window only has a 2-tube replacement, less light there, but it's more lit up at the front. So we have a whole lighting design team that's going to put a lot of attention to this project, and we'll really dial that in. And this is the perfect time to do that because LED lights last somewhere from 15 to 20 years. So the goal here is not to have to touch it again. So we want to get that lighting done really correctly.
So we used to have lights that had ballasts that would fail frequently. Will we be eliminating all of those?
Yeah, you most likely would, but the way we handle it is we're going to show you your options. So there's something called a ballast bypass, which is kind of what you're describing, or there's a wholesale fixture replacement change out. So essentially there's a couple different design options that come with pros and cons and different prices. And it's going to be up to Eric and the rest of the district to decide what they think is the best situation for the district. And then that's the project that you all move forward with.
And then all of this work will be UL listed.
Yeah, UL listed. And there's some also really cool things. I've done projects for special needs classrooms to have something called human-centric lighting, where it can be color changing and mood adjusting. So that's something we can get into. We're really going to dial that in with the audit and the design to find out what's right and what's needed for the district.
So I am very pleased to hear that there can be adjustments within a classroom, because visiting many classrooms in our school district, I can tell you 3 sites right now where the teaching wall is always darker, and it's for individuals who have vision problems, it can be very challenging. And so I'm excited to hear that, and I look forward to visiting the classrooms as this project is underway. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we'll also be working and getting input from our stakeholders at the sites and teachers, and just having different, brainstorming sessions, if you will, with them as we go through this project. And Schneider's an excellent company that does do that and works with and gets input from staff, just like we're doing at Northgate right now with the energy plan there, and just trying to get assistance from the staff and input from them, but also we're putting that into a somewhat of a gift for the school if they meet certain energy saving goals this year. So and that's another thing that Schneider and their team were able to put together for Northgate. So we're looking to do a similar project, reward system, if you will, at each school for different energy savings that they're able to make.
Any other questions? And I guess we have the option to approve this tonight if we want to.
Madam President, I would move that we approve, let me get down to, so I get the language correct. Approved Resolution 21/22-49, authorizing a district-wide design build energy services project.
Thank you.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Okay, 18.6, review and potential approval of 2022 summer school one-time compensation rates.
Good evening, board members. This is before you as it was similar and just about the same as it was last summer or last spring. These are the same higher rates that we proposed to pay last summer as we attempt to make sure we do our best to get employees to work during summer school, which can be hard after you've been working so hard all year long.
Okay. Any questions? And this is for,
I move that we approve the 2022 summer school one-time compensation rate.
thank you.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. She's ready. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
That passes 5+1. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Where are we now? Review and potential approval of tentative agreement between California School Employees Association and Mount Diablo Unified School District. Dr. Clark, who's
Yep.
oh,
And we have Dr. Scudero who's going to present this item.
okay.
So we're bringing for your review and approval, this tentative agreement between CSEA and Mount Diablo Unified School District, which will run from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2022. I turn it over to the board for questions or action.
Thank you. Any questions? Or
I was just going to make a motion.
go right ahead.
Madam President, I move that we approve the tentative agreement between California School Employees Association, CSEA, and Mount Diablo Unified School District.
I second it.
Thank you. Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
And that passes 5+1. Thank you, Dr. Scudero.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like we have another public hearing and
Right.
review of potential approval of extended school year waiver for 2022. Do you need to say anything about this before we open the public hearing?
Yeah, no, actually, I'm gonna pull this item and we're gonna bring this back.
Okay,
I meant to do it at the beginning of the meeting, but
okay, so I think that takes us to, we're closed for the night, we're done. Anything, no, nothing good for that, no special messages at the end? Okay, we are good, we are adjourned until, believe it or not, next week.
Yay.